Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You are listening to the Service Business Mastery Podcast. I'm your host, Tersh. Today's episode is part 2 of a 2-part series between myself and Ben Reed of Haven IAQ. That's Haven IAQ. Getting a little tongue-tied there. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to manage risk as a business owner with indoor air quality, and then also how to make more money with indoor air quality, while at the same time being risk adverse. And so you don't have to worry about saying the wrong things, doing the wrong things, and recommending products that the client really doesn't need. So with that being said, if you haven't heard part 1, I'll have that a link to that in the show notes. But this is part 2 of our episode between myself and Ben Reed of Haven IAQ. I hope you enjoy. So how do we actually know which product to put in there? Should we put a dual ionizer? Should we put in something that's going to generate more ozone, or should we put in obviously a dehumidifier if the humidity level is high? That's a pretty easy one for me. But knowing whether to put in a UV light, or I'm going to throw out some brand names. Not that I support any of these brands. They're not sponsoring the podcast or anything like that. It's just easy to reference these brand names because they do different things. So like a Remy Halo or the iWave or you put in even a generic UV light. How would we know which one is the best product to use in a particular circumstance, or is there a way to know that?
Yeah, so that's because of how some of the science is emergent. It is difficult to have a conclusive, direct answer. But I'll kind of answer it in two parts. The first one is there are some tried and true basics that everybody can sell on, which is like I was talking about. There's three pillars of IAQ, and that's chemicals, particles, and humidity. And so high particle levels, you just need to control that problem with better filtration. And so this is, like you said, that 5-inch deep filter, or like media air cleaner, like a HEPA bypass. There's lots of different products that you can have access to. There are some groups that's even we're going to be doing some experiments with Nate Adams and Jim Bergman pretty soon, where we're setting up a demo system in Jim's office, and we want to demonstrate being like, hey, you got some high particles. Let's try this method with like a 1-inch filter. Let's try a 5-inch filter. Let's throw on a bypass. So hopefully we can generate some of those examples of here's some of the methods that you can go about, and then here's the results and the data. But for the general contractor, depending on the kind of product lines that you carry, so often just putting in a deeper filter and making sure that filter is properly kind of sealed. That's a really big one. Another problem with high particle levels is many homes are super leaky. And if you're near a busy roadway, you're just sucking in all this road dust into the home, especially because a lot of homes are not properly balanced for their pressure. And so a chronic particle problem in a home that's near a roadway that's leaky, you got to fix that envelope problem. On the chemical side, that one's interesting because of there are some studies that show that ionization, like the Remy Halos and everything, they definitely affect the air quality and definitely interact with the chemicals and change the air as a result. But for us, because there is that's probably the area that has the least conclusive evidence around how to control chemicals with an electronic air cleaner. Our advice is that it's just frickin' ventilation, man.
Bring in some outside air.
You just fix that ventilation, like a powered ventilator, ERV, HRV, like a makeup air unit. It's controlled ventilation from the outdoors. We're in North America, where we have clean air most of the time in most cities. And so let's take that to our advantage. And that should be the solution that you offer for high chemicals before kind of an electronic air cleaner, because ventilation is 100% proven and it has pretty much no risk. There are some, there's a little bit of risk with if the outdoor air is really bad. You want to kind of control that. And so over time, we're going to be integrating outdoor air and some automation capabilities into our platform, so that if the outdoor air is bad and you have one of our kind of automation devices connected to your air quality or to your HVAC system, then we can tell the system not to ventilate during a bad outdoor air event, like, during pollen season or a fire season, like up here on the West Coast.
Yeah. Okay. So,
and humidity, we didn't get to that yet.
Yeah. Go ahead. You can.
That one, really short and simple. The same thing is that you see the humidity levels are too high, too low from that long-term data, humidifier or dehumidifier, because like you're not going to change, like it's coming in from outside or else you're making it indoors. Like if the house is really well sealed and they still have high humidity events that kind of persist throughout the day, probably their bath fan, they're either not turning it on, or it's not properly installed. And like, so you got to check the pressurization of the home. And just make it simple for the homeowner. Sell them a bath fan, like a bath fan with a temp or with a humidistat in it, because they're getting so cheap now.
Yeah, they really are.
Do things, add solutions for the homeowner so that they don't have to think about it, but use the data to make sure that it's the right one. Yeah,
I love that too. And then also, we can if we aren't paying attention to the data, it's very easy to go in the negative aspect too, as far as having hoods running all the time, having bathroom fans running all the time. And then all of a sudden you've created a negative atmosphere inside the envelope. And then all of those holes in your envelope, now all of a sudden it's sucking that dirt in. Whereas if you didn't have makeup air, if you do have makeup air, then it creates almost an invisible wall there. And so, I mean, that's getting into a little bit into the weeds of the techie side of things, but as far as using the data and really, what would you say to somebody who is, so just say, for example, that I am a really good salesman of air conditioned units and I can sell a box all day long, but I don't know much about indoor air quality, or I don't know anything about envelopes and how to make it negative and positive and the importance of that kind of stuff. Is there a place for us to get that information? Like, hey, be careful if you do this, or because I'm thinking, so we've transitioned into more of the risk management part of using the Haven IAQ and really managing risk when it comes to selling indoor air quality. But like we all know, like we mentioned before, even some of the companies with the best of intentions have had major lawsuits, and they're going to come major lawsuits with offering, Remy Halos when they didn't need to be there, or iWave Rs when they didn't need those devices. And obviously having the data here is great. But is there a place or a situation that you know of that you can say, hey, look, be careful using this device in this scenario type thing? Because I will tell you that for me, it seems like every month it changes. And a white page comes out and it's like, this is great. And then a white page comes out, this is horrible. Like, you're like,
this could kill you.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm finding. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, no, we see that too. And like we notice a lot of that sort of trepidation towards like even trying to sell IAQ now. And so that kind of, it does relate back to what I was just saying, how like if you keep it dead simple, where it's not about, like, be wary of a manufacturer that, claims that their product can do X, Y, or Z, but they don't have all of the proof that shows that it's actually healthy.
What proof would you require for them to have? Like
third party evidence is a really important one, where it's not just in the lab. It needs to be, it's really hard to get, but it's being able to demonstrate that it's not harmful in occupied spaces in homes, because labs are not the same as homes. Like, we're in a lab, your process is very, very strict. You have a certain, exactly what chemicals, particles, everything in that space, and you are only introducing a few variables at a time to get a certain outcome. Mm-hmm. And so those lab results are useful. They do have merit, but if you are able to get proof that over time it is always improving the homeowner, or rather, it's not negatively affecting the homeowner's health. Mm-hmm. That's almost impossible to find.
That's what I was going to say, because there's so many variables involved with that, because especially with us, like now, Julie and I, we rarely leave our house unless we're taking the kids to soccer practice. And so like and then other people, like they're rarely ever at home. So how can you compare us to them and say, yeah, we got sick because of the indoor air quality here, whereas they got sick because of the indoor air quality at work or whatever. And then you introduce, like, our 4 kids run in the door every afternoon from soccer practice, and the door stays open for 45 minutes because of running in and out of the house. So how does that affect the indoor air quality products that we've installed in the house? So,
yeah. And I think because one of the missing pieces has been long-term monitoring of these indoor environments. It hasn't been accessible up until now. It's only been in the last couple of years that our product could actually exist. So when you bring that up, I actually think that it might be a part of my job with building this product to build that evidence with our professionals. So, like, we're trying to build a Haven Pro community where we can exchange stories and exchange data-driven outcomes with each other that can inform strategies. So anybody that's using the Haven IAQ platform, we have that personal use program where they can start off to learn the product themselves and get those personal experiences. Yeah. But because every home has so much variation, with the build quality or the behaviors of the people inside of it and the things that they bring in that create pollutants, that there isn't a good data set right now.
I think
so. Maybe that's
you mentioned
what we need to do.
People bringing in pollutants from outside. My kids' shoes from soccer practice, that's a toxin in itself. So they kick them off in the back of Suburban, and I'm like, "What? All right, who took the shoes off? Who took their cleats off? Put them back on." That's disgusting, So and I love the idea of. That's a data gold mine. If we had a community where, like, everybody could upload their data that they're finding, like, and then if this, then that scenario, like we're getting this and that's reacting to it. And then all of a sudden, that's amazing. I'd love that idea, because then as a business owner, we can say, oh, wow, we had this thought process in the past, but now that we're seeing this data, we're having to change our mindset a little bit and say, well, let's get away from this a little bit and let's move towards this over here. And I think that the biggest concern as a business owner is, like, we can get a Remy Halo or an iWave R for $400 or $500, Mm-hmm. But then when you start talking ERVs, you start talking a couple $1,000 plus installation, plus cutting holes in roofs or eaves, or makeup airs, the same thing. You could probably do that for less than $1,000, but you're still cutting into a roof line or an eave or something.
It's a more intrusive, permanent.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, while we all know we should be getting fresh air into the house, I can tell you that I don't have an ERV in my house, but I do have an iWave R. I do have a Remy Halo, and I do have a 5-inch media filter that's disgusting all the time. Every time I change it, but it's one of those things where, like, even for me to put one in my house it seems so invasive that it's not the first thought that comes to mind. Which I feel like that's probably what the mindset shift needs to be, is that needs to become more of the first thought versus the last line of defense.
Oh, and that is a real challenge, because there's like, when it comes to consumer or just purchasing behavior, there's like price indexes where exactly. Like, if it's below $1,000, you're going to be like, okay, that's something that I can, like, you have purchased multiple things that are below $1,000. that can like improve your air quality, because your brain looked at that purchasing decision and it's like, oh, under the threshold where I need to put a lot of thought into it. So just buy it. I have way too many tech toys that are kind of below that threshold. So it's a different mindset where it's about playing the long game. It like we do like our team, we know that we have a bit of an uphill battle because it is just so like it's baked into our psychology to not think about those low cost sort of solutions.
Yeah.
But it's like spending, time and effort, because time and effort is also a like that has value instead of just the cost. And if you don't fix it right the first time, then you're trying to continue to add Band-Aid fixes. That's what a lot of homeowners do, is they kind of go Band-Aid fix after Band-Aid fix to address IAQ. And sometimes the problem's never solved. And in certain cases, like we've even seen homeowners that have like sick building syndrome, or they have chronic air quality issues. They just sell their home because their home has been making them sick and they haven't been able to have figured it out because they're not doing long-term monitoring. And so we know that, at this point in our product development is that there isn't it does take a little bit more effort to kind of gather that data, to like I said, you could drop in the device for a month or so, and then use it as that sort of engagement tool to build that trust with the homeowner, to make them to like get higher ticket sales.
Yeah.
And so instead of trying to like, is it really a good idea for a business to like, are you going to thrive off of dozens of small IAQ sales? But like, what is it that really makes a business money? The big sales, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also the client trusting you and then sharing it with you. Like we had this instant success, especially if this product is left in after the fact, because are they getting, is there an automated report that goes out to the homeowner, or can we manually send out a report to the homeowner?
The reports are manual at the moment. Okay. We're working on kind of automated reports that like it gets sent out from our system with the branding of the service company. Okay. So we're kind of working on doing that on a monthly kind of tick with like an email. Yeah. But like the homeowner, they already have an app where they're getting notifications. And so that app in itself with those notifications help keep it top of mind, and your service company's contact information is right there in the app. Okay. So they would just, as long as you put in your logo, your company name, and your phone number, when they go to the Haven Pro area of the app, it'll be like, poof, there's your, they'll think of you and they'll contact you. But so the reports we're working on, but there is a manual report builder in the Haven Pro portal, which is the web-based portion of our ecosystem that a pro can use to export whatever timeline they want, with a page for temperature, a page for humidity, a page for PM, and a page for VOCs. It's got some guidance, and then you can put in your own comments on what you want that homeowner to, or what you recommend that homeowner to do to fix those problems that you find in that report.
Gotcha. Now, is there guidance for us when we see that? It's like, hey, I don't know what this means. Like I see these little tick marks. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. We're working on that exact thing right now. Cause like that's like, speaking of IAQ sales problems, that's the problem that we have, where like a lot of our original users were like, it was the Nate Adams kind of person who like he pioneered leaving Foobots behind.
Exactly.
Like made such great, amazing progress with he helped us build a lot lot of our tools, and but not everyone is the house with Spur.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And so we're working. I'm actually going to be working on a whole bunch of videos and other tutorials over the next couple of weeks to provide that guidance, to be like, hey, if you see this type of data here with these big spikes in the PM, then this is possibly what it could mean. So this is how you have the conversation with the homeowner about it. Here are some of the questions that you could ask them. And then here's how to connect that to these types of tried and true solutions. Mm-hmm. So we'll try to have that content available soon.
Cool. So all of this is awesome. And I love the air quality side of things. Is there a chance that y'all ever get into water quality types?
Ooh,
Because there's
maybe,
so many particles that, I mean, it's a different realm, but just being able to capture data and sharing that data electronically is something that the market is missing, I feel like.
Yeah, that one's interesting. We haven't actually given it as much thought. Like, we're actually more interested in the air or in the energy efficiency side of things, to be able to associate the let's say the use of certain air quality equipment and to be able to selectively enable and disable air quality like HVAC equipment if you don't need to use it at the time to save some energy. But on the water quality side, there's a lot of products out there that are doing some form of water monitoring, maybe not quality in particular. But some of our innovation around air quality and even the connectivity, we put a huge amount of effort into making our kind of microprocessor and firmware stack really modular. So we might be coming out with other sensors in the future.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit about the devices that may be coming in the future, as far as the stuff that will control other items? You kind of touched on that.
So that's a great question, because we don't believe that our product line is complete from just being a sensing platform. Just sensing it and identifying a problem, that's just the first part of the equation, and you need a solution. So besides just providing some tips on being like, here's how to talk to the homeowner, it's like we want to actually help fix it for the homeowner automatically on behalf of the service company. And so we're kind of working on software integrations for some thermostats, connected thermostat manufacturers that are able to automatically toggle the, let's say the G switch, the fan on and off for increased periods or at different intervals, to make sure that there's more filtration kind of going through there. So, you get home from soccer practice, you dump all that particle producing gear on the floor, it kicks up, and then it'll turn your system on for an extended period of time to filter all those particles out. And then it'll, decrease the amount of filtration once the event is subsided. And in that same regard, we made this new device called the Central Air Controller. And it's literally just two dry contact relays inside of this little package that has a Wi-Fi chip built into it. And it reacts to your IAQ readings from the central air monitor to produce action to solve the ventilation, filtration, and humidity problems. And so it is super modular, so that if you have, this thing can be attached to a PSC system, even if you have a dumb thermostat that doesn't even have, let's say, the C-wire ran to it, and it's not Wi-Fi connected, you can still add this to the homeowner's home to connect to the G switch on the central air system. And if you have good filtration, like a deep filter installed in that system, MERV 11 or higher, it's going to now help fix the filtration problems. It takes that action on behalf of the homeowner and the contractor, so that you don't have to think about it. You can control two devices at once with this. Like, you can have a humidifier and the G switch of the air handler hooked up to it, because they're electrically independent. So it's totally fine if you have two different systems. Some people use it for ERVs. So if you have a boost mode on your ERV, you can just hook up the two terminals to or one set of terminals to the boost switch. We're kind of hoping that people are going to get creative with it.
Yeah.
But in general, this new device can be installed anywhere in the home, and it takes action based on the IAQ readings to solve whatever you need to solve.
That's cool. That's really awesome. Even opening up a fresh air damper and pulling in fresh air, outside air, whenever it's clean outside. Sweet, man. I really appreciate you sharing all this information and everything with everybody. I guess my last question is, where can we buy them? And I guess it's a two-part question. Where can we buy them? And have you had a problem with keeping inventory with everything going on, inventory shortages?
Yeah, so you can buy the products at TrueTech Tools.
Okay.
So I think they're just getting restocked right now. But we're also in distribution for like Goodman, Amana, and kind of some of the independents that are associated with that.
Okay, cool.
So if you go down to your kind of Goodman affiliate or Goodman distributor, you should be able to find one on the shelf there. And for us, we're being kind of a new company with this is kind of a new product paradigm that we're not. I guess we're still in the process of educating the market about what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be able to find it if you kind of walk down to a distributor or you go on TrueTech Tools, give it an install. And I think that in a couple months, we're going to have a lot of problems keeping them on the shelf. But we've literally just gotten to distribution in the last few months. So we're hoping for a big splash. Might take a while to get there.
There you go. And if you go to TrueTech Tools, don't forget to use Service Biz and check out anything you buy at TrueTech Tools. Use Service Biz because those guys, they need it. Bill Spoon and Eric, they need to see that I'm sending people to you because I love TrueTech Tools. I love those guys. They're awesome. I love those guys
too. Yep.
Cool, man. Is there anything that I forgot to ask or didn't mention here?
Probably, and we're going to probably have to do another session later.
I'm fine with that too. I'm cool with that. So how can people, if they want to learn more about Haven IAQ and you in general, what's the best way for them to stay connected and learn more?
Yeah, you can just go to HavenIAQ.com, or you can find us on social media. We kind of have two brands. We have Haven IAQ for homeowners, but then Haven Pro. That's our brand for the professional, because we're putting a lot of effort into having educational materials and content specifically for professionals, and then also some stuff for homeowners. So Haven Pro, HavenIAQ.com, and you can download the Haven IAQ app and sign up, free account there, and you can use that same account to access data inside of the Pro portal, which is pro.haveniaq.com. But if you Google a couple of these things, you'll figure it out.
Perfect. Cool, Ben. Thank you so much for answering questions and coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks, Tersh. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And for everybody that's watching or listening to this, thank you for listening to another episode of the Service Business Mastery Podcast. It is a podcast focused on service business owners, managers, and technicians who are considering becoming business owners themselves. I hope today's episode really helped answer some unasked questions. I know it did for me. Lots of questions that or uncertainties that were really helped to establish risk management while also being able to offer this product as a sales tool. So with that being said, thank you again for watching this show, listening to this episode. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Ben, his team, or myself. And until we talk again next week, have a wonderful day.